Hello. Hello, everybody. Gaz Williams here. Welcome for joining me for this midnight session. So apologies to those of you in Britain and in Europe and, well, most of the places where people check out the show might be a bit late. So appreciate you joining me. I'm going to just have a little look in the chat room, say hello as we are going live. This is, let's have a look, 13th of June, 2024. Yeah, and hello, everybody. I will come through the chat room in a moment. I'm just going to say what we're going to be doing tonight is we're going to be investigating the Bastl Thyme Plus. Okay, and I got this is my main live Eurorack rig, which might be familiar to a few of you, but that's what we're going to be doing, and we're going to be playing around with the features that make the Thyme quite special. I mean, it is an echo, a delay, but there's a difference. So let's have a look what's going on in the chat room. Hey, all right, Ryan, Jack, digital Dobby. Sorry, my eyesight's starting to go now. Analog Prophet, Lee, hello. Inverted Popes, thank you for joining me. Simon, thank you. Okay, Matt Brown, hello. Wow, Jack, I'm going to probably miss some of you on here. Hippopotiverse, yeah, like it. Mark, okay. Bad Oedipus. Thank you, everybody. Mr. Spoon, okay, cool. Pablo, hello. Oh, Pablo, rather. All right, okay. So we will get into this. Thank you so much. If you do join live, that is great. The video will stay up beyond this. Let me think. Disclaimers. I did get sent this from Bastl. Bastl did send that to me. They are my friends. And I bumped into Patrick and Vaclav in a party in Berlin. And yeah, so, but, you know, that's just what life is like for me. So, and I've made my life in these last few years very much about this kind of technology. The last year, I mean, I haven't been streaming very much, and I apologize for that, but I've been working on playing modular since, and I've got our new record label with Mr. Steve Davis. Mr. Spoon, the wonderful Mr. Spoon in the chat room, took part in our concert there. I'm sure many of you have checked out the video. It's on my channel of that launch. Half God, half beast. Hello. Oh, I'm sorry, I probably missed some people, but hello, everyone. Alex, hello. Okay. Right. So, yes, life modular. It's been a big part of my life. So, this modular rig, I'm not going to really talk about this too much, other than actually there is another Bastl newbie in here, and that is the Crust. And we will be playing with the Crust as well. And the Crust is a module which is on the pizza platform. So if you've got a pizza or the Bastl, the space delay, you can interchange the firmware, just different panel graphics, but the same controls. And I've actually got all three now in here. I've got the pizza here, and I've got the space here, the delay here. Now, I've patched out the delay is currently patched out because I've got this patched in the time, and the way that it's connecting is, and you can't see it because someone's put a blooming great big orange cable portal in the way, but there's the P1 module from DPW, which is it's kind of stereo in, stereo out for interacting with pedals, line level things, and there's some really clever thinking behind it, as are all of DPW design pedals and modules. I still use the distortion on my primary pedal board for my bass guitar as well, the DPW, like the 4-band. It's a brilliant pedal. Anyway, that is a digression. Hello, Bill Smith. Right, we have got a time to deal with. So what I thought we would do is I'll start with a clean slate on the time, and I think I might just do that with a Yeah, I'm just going to pull the power out. I think I'm not entirely sure how you do it probably is a quicker way to do that. However, the reason why I did that is because along the bottom of this unit are 8 buttons which hold the kind of presets. Now, the way it uses presets is vital to the understanding of some of the special features of this, because there's essentially this is like a delay unit. It's based on a sort of tape on the tape head delay system. We'll go over that in a moment, but it also has these presets and a sequencer, and you can sequence the presets. Now, we will be doing a bit of that, but from a default state, all of these are blank. I say blank, it's in the default state. Now, the default state, you won't hear any delay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put on I'm going to get this playing. And it's just going to be a little snare pattern. Okay. There's some pitch modulation on the snare. It's an analog snare voice, just a 2 HP one here. Okay. But we are hearing it going through here. So from a default stage, and I think this could be confusing to people when they first come to one, it won't make a sound. Well, it is making a sound, but it won't make a delay sound until you bring one of these controls to life. And here's one of the kind of quirks. You get used to it, but you do this wiggle to wake the controls. So the first control to change really would be the delay. So I wiggle to wake it. Well, I say the delay, it's like the coarse delay. Now, I have got a clock coming in here, and there is a sync button, but the sync button is currently unlit. There's no feedback, so we're just hearing just one repeat. But I could hit sync, and then this becomes kind of divisions, clock divisions. I'll probably leave that on for most of the time. I'm switching it off now and again. Now, this is part of the cool workflow. I haven't created a preset, I haven't saved it, but because we've affected this number 1, this is its kind of now default state. So if I go to number 2, it's back to like a kind of default one, which, as I say, no echo. If again I turn up the coarse, we've got a fine here. But you see, there's no, let's get a little bit closer here just to demonstrate this. There's no LED light on the fine here because I haven't woken it. So I give it a little wiggle. And when you give it a wiggle, well, it should. Oh yeah, sorry, I just had it turned down. But when you turn the knob up and down, you'll get a lightness. That green ring will get more intense. So you got this wiggle to wake. So you'll see me wiggling the controls here. Now, go back to that. This is that first preset that we made, which we didn't really make it as a preset, but the first setting. Go back to that one. Go back to this one. And here's the magic in the Thyme is when you change settings, it doesn't really click and glitch. It makes really smooth changes. Now we're changing at the moment just the delay amount, really, maybe a bit of the fine, but okay. So here I go on this one. I'll turn sync on, and this time I'll bring some feedback in as well. Let's turn that up. Okay, back the feedback a bit. Again, I haven't pressed save. Go back to the other one now. So the feedback behavior is quite odd, because it's like when you change the preset, things that are still in the buffer carry across the preset change. So this, so okay, this isn't necessarily the most kind of ridiculous thing, but building up these, now I'll go here to number 4. Again, nothing is set on it. So what we'll do now is, well, yeah, I'll press sync again, and then I'll bring this in. Right, now we got a filter control here. It's like a deep. I think it might be the only one that's center notched, but you've got low pass to the left, high pass to the right. The lovely. So our repeats will be filtered. Now, so going back and forward between these presets, okay, so I am going to get into more of the fancy stuff on here, because there are robots. This box is full of robots. Yes, we have got 9 robots that we can employ across the system. So basically there are 9 parameters on here that can have its own dedicated modulation source. So a modulation source on the Thyme, let's just turn this off for a moment, is called a robot. Now, why not an LFO? Well, they are LFOs, but they can also be a CV input. So yes, there's a CV input at the back, and an envelope. So the envelope will be an envelope follower based on what's coming in the input. So it's more than just an LFO. And then each LFO that we got across here has got an accompanying shape. And in conjunction with like a shift function, well, actually, no, I think holding the robot function down and adjusting the rate with the robot button down, you also get like a wave shaping facility as well. And the way the wave shaping works across the different waveforms is like, you can go from a triangle to a perfectly, a perfect sine, and then the very subtle transition between them, or you can go from like a stepped triangle that will then go to a perfect square wave. So the waveforms here are just a starting point. You can then, as I say, manipulate them. So that kind of modulation and the depth of that modulation, because we've got a rate control and an amount control, and when we choose our different parameter that we want to modulate, then once we've done that, these controls will be controlling the last selected. And I'll do this because it's a little strange, but we've got then a rate control and an amount control for each of the 9 robots. But there's an added functionality. Well, actually, there's quite a bit of deeper functionality within this, but one which I think is one of the absolute killer features of this is that you can switch the phase around of, or rather, whenever you modulate a parameter, it'll modulate it in the opposite side in stereo. So basically, any of these parameters that you change, you can turn on a stereo function for it. We will demonstrate some of that. It's because that is there's a lot of magic then, because you get this beautiful stereo animation, but what's causing the animation is different from your typical kind of ping pong. Right, anyway, a bit too much talking. Let's do a little bit more exploring. I'll just keep this boring little thing at the moment because it's nice and simple. Okay, so controls, then we got input, gain, output, and it's cool. They show you when they clip in, they show you when they will flicker with activity, so they're like a VU meter really as well. A very basic one, but helpful. Then we got feedback, and then we, as I say, we got the low pass, high pass DJ style filter. Then we've got a thing called levels, and levels has got a secondary control as well, which is spacing, and this deals with additional tape heads that we can bring in to our repeats. Then we got a dry wet mix, volume as I said, rate and amount for each robot, spacing, and then here coarse and fine tune on there. So the fine tune, let's have a look at that now. Let's just get a plain one. So this time all I'm going to do is play with this fine control. Let's give it some feedback, just a little wiggle to bring it alive. Okay, just a reminder then, look. I'm not quite sure why that's stuck then. And then, okay, let's employ a robot now. So I'll get the robot to move the fine. So to do this, I hold the robot button down and I wiggle which one of the controls I want the robot to which robot I want. So I want to wake up this robot. I hold it, I give it a little wiggle. So now these controls are the rate and amount of the modulation on here. And then if I hold the robot button down, I can choose which of the LFO shapes. So I'll just use this first one here. I'll just keep it simple. Now, I mentioned that stereo effect as well, so let's try applying that stereo effect to that control. So I hold down robot and I hit the sync control. If you're listening in stereo, straight away now, we've got a nice stereo effect going on. I'm going to change these presets over again. So it sort of takes, I think it's however long the buffer is, when you change the preset, whatever's in the buffer kind of empties itself. So look like this again. I've landed on one that's got a lot of feedback in it anyway. Oh, I get it. As the preset's changing, it's only changing what the controls are sort of doing. Yeah, so the feedback, yeah, that makes sense. So then the buffer's kind of emptied itself on. on ones that haven't got any feedback on there. Now, of course, we can modulate the feedback amount as well. Let's do that on this one. So we'll do this. Go to my feedback control here. Oops. Okay, let's just see what happens. Now, didn't we mention that there is a feedback control as well? So let's do that. Let's get the input to modulate that. So we'll get this feedback. So we get the filter. Sorry, the filter is now being controlled by a robot. I'm going to have that controlled by the envelope follower. Oh yes, you can modulate the dry wet mix as well. Oh, mono. Thank you, chat room. Thank you, chat room. I'm monitoring in stereo. Okay, let me just stop this and sort this out. Look at me. I'm getting so carried away, and there you are. Right. Okay, I did some stereo stuff. You weren't hearing that. Let's fix that. Okay. All right. I don't know if I'm going to need to restart. Let's see. But thank you, chat room. Wow, nice to see so many of you here as well. It's right. Okay. Let's see. Do we have stereo? Yep. Okay, let's just see if that. Actually, I could probably. Oh, my mic is on one side. Okay, let's have a look. We have stereo. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Oh, right. Thank you so much. It's lovely to have you there and to be. And I'm so sorry. I really do not look at the chat room enough. So I really appreciate that. Okay. Thank you. So yeah, I hope though, even in most of the stuff we've been doing prior to me just doing a bit of stereo, I think probably would have sounded more or less the same. But okay, so what we'll do then is we'll go back over that mono to stereo effect so you can hear it change. Let's just get that going again. And change the melody. So just in case you're wondering where the melody is coming from, if I just held my finger on this and let go, it just instantly records. So I could do this. It's not tied to the clock, so it's just free running. As soon as I touch it and as soon as I let go of it, it just starts repeating what my finger did. I think it can do about 80 seconds, I think, something like that. Anyway, I just thought it would be fun to make it move around a little bit. Okay, let's go back to this. Again, we're in that kind of default state. So if I'm going to hit sync, and then let's get in a tighter, and then I'm going to do my little wake to wiggle. It's a bit strange, the wake to wiggle, but it's quite, I think it could become a new standard, because, you know, usually either a control will just pick up immediately, or it'll latch when you pass through it. We all know about this. It's usually a menu option. But I think what Bastl are trying to do here is they're trying to incorporate both methods into one control form. So when you save a preset or you move on from where you were, obviously the controls don't represent where they were on a different preset. So by wiggling it will ensure that you gain control of it in real time. Otherwise you have to just go in, turn it until you find it, and the intensity of the LED light will help you to a reasonable degree be able to work out which side you're on to find the pickup point. Anyway, so okay, so I'm going to use the define control here. Let's get some feedback going on. Okay, so we then use a robot to modulate this thing here. Taking sync off. So rate. Slow it down. Feedback down a bit. Okay. So we'll do the stereo effect in a moment now. Let's just get this. Okay, so I'm going to hit robot and it's kind of like ping pong. So then, okay. Oh yeah. So you've got two sync points here. We can sync the master delay time, like we were doing earlier, to our incoming clock that's coming from the PAMS Pro Workout. Then, we can also, each of the 9 robots all have the ability to be to be clock synced or not. So I'm going to hit the sync control here now. So this robot now, the rate control is going to be rhythm subdivisions. Okay. This one here, I haven't. Let me make this do something. if we can do something like this with one of these robots. We'll try a different let's try a different. So let's make that effect. So each one of these robots then, well, that you can essentially decouple a stereo or flip the effect across. Some are more successful than others in terms of how much you perceive the stereo. It's okay. So look. One more to do. Let's just do one more. Of course, we haven't used the different heads. So if we take the tape analogy of, we got a kind of a play head and a record head, and the distance between them is essentially the time distance. But then if you've got 4 more heads, they're like taps. They're like multi-taps, where the recording passes over the head of the first one. Then you've got 4 more heads, which we can bring in with the levels control, and then the spacing control allows us then to choose just how far apart the different heads are. Okay, so let's do that now. Let's get an echo going. Maybe a little bit more feedback. Let's simplify the pattern. Okay. Right, I'll bring the levels up now. So of course, this is another thing that we can apply a robot to change. Let's do that. I'm going to pick one of these other up ramp. Let's get a bit more repeats on this. A lot of trial and error. I mean, this isn't particularly doing, I think, it depends on what you're feeding into it. But anyway, but at least let me get my pattern doing something vaguely the same as it was doing before. I think these early ones need a bit more stereo. Yeah, let's just make this one act like a ping pong. So I mean, this thing can do all your bread and butter kind of echo type things, but it's the more experimental side of it that makes it interesting. Let's make this one a bit more fun. Oh, I haven't been talking about the tape speed, so yeah. So we can speed up and slow down the whole thing with the tape. Well, slow it down, certainly. Let's get more feedback here so we can hear this better. So let's modulate this. Okay, it's pretty mad. But, oh, see, those transitions is weird, isn't it? It's really nice, though. It's kind of, I don't know, getting rid of the buffer memory. It's a bit weird. So, okay, so they're all filled with, and I've got my all-important bypass control as well. And the bypass button is a bit like the preset button. I think you can sequence the bypass as well. Okay, so now I'm going to stop this, just give us a breather. I'm going to check in with the chat room a minute because I am not paying you attention again. Yeah, so what I'm going to do, if you've got questions for me, I won't see the question, so I will take questions shortly. So if you can just be patient with me, and then when you want to know questions or you want me to try things out, then I'll ask you, and then we can do it that way, if that works, because I'm hopeless at keeping track of things. Okay, just looking now if there are any questions. Oh, Man with Beard is saying, is this the new time, Gaz, to get more regular US viewers watching? I was thinking about that. I've got lots of friends in America, and I was thinking about how it would be great to do later streams. So yes, in part, I tend to stay up really late. It's just, I've always have. I'm just late. I'm a late guy. Okay, so any questions you may have asked me, I'm just trying to flick back through. I might have missed them. But thank you so much anyway for flagging the stereo issue, and it was an oversight on my behalf. Okay. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to now look at the sequencer now, because we've filled up our 8 presets. We have got banks, by the way, and I'm not saving these. There is an actual save mode where we can save our presets. To be honest, I will probably do that at some point, but I haven't done it yet because I just always like come into it as a clean slate. But I guess if you do more complex work on it, you know, you can fill it up. And then you've got a lot where you've got 64 presets, then you've got 8 banks of 8. Yeah, so that's pretty good. Synth Addict, we miss these late night sessions. Okay, thank you. I'm an iTalk, yeah, yes I am. A Tellurian, hello. We are saying, seriously, this reminds you of Mars by Johannes Kepler. Okay, interesting. I'll have to check that out. Yeah, Half God, Half Beast is saying nighttime is good. It's peaceful, feel more creative as a result, so stay up late too. Yeah, I mean, I'm married. I've got my wife goes. She gets up early for work, so I like to spend the time with her. And when she goes to bed, that's when I like to get creative. And then I just end up getting. It's just the time, you know, the time flies by. I'm a full-time musician. I sort of decide my own time, so I'm fortunate in that respect. And yeah, I don't know. I like it. But you know, I don't know how healthy it is, but it is something I've always done. Anyway, this is a digression. Thank you so much for joining me. Please consider clicking like for some reason. I mean, subscriber definitely. That would be really nice if you haven't already. But yeah, likes apparently. I don't know. Still don't know quite what they do, but I'm told that they're meant to be good. Yeah. So, okay. So let's get to the sequencer part of this then. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I'm getting drawn into chat, so I will keep. But thank you so much for that. I'm going to get back into this now. I'm going to run. Okay. So if I push play, what's interesting is as soon as I've pushed play, 2 things have happened on here. One is that the green play light is flashing, and the green light is actually above the right button. Now the right button, which also doubles up with shift as a copy button, and the select button is also the save button. I think maybe the save and right button, or perhaps they're not, perhaps they're separate for a different reason, but it's a bit confusing. You've got a right button and you've got a save button, okay? And I will endeavour to explain the differences now, because I think it's all part of this sequencer. So basically, the right function is for writing in. You know, it's like a record button in a way for writing in steps into the sequencer, and the save button is for kind of permanently saving the presets in. But as I say, what I've really liked about this is that without going through the rigors of saving, I've just done something, moved on to the next, moved on to the next, and moved on to the next, and without saving. But then when I jump back to them, now this is fun. We're getting to the good stuff now. Thank you for sticking with me. Right, with a sequence running, it's gone into bypass, and as I mentioned, the bypass is almost like a preset or bypass. But as I hold this button down, I let go, it goes back to bypass. Hold this button down, let go. Now, this is kind of where the select function is useful, because at the moment we've got selected is bypass. But if I select one of the presets, might be wrong about that. I think that sorry, that's in the right mode. So I'm going to right. Oh, I'm in the step mode there. Hang on. Ah, yeah. Yeah, it's a little bit confusing because it works in a few different ways. If I hold the right button down and play and hold a preset, it'll record into the step. Look. I can overwrite. Well, I can overwrite or just overplay. Now, I hope that you can see with this demonstration that what this is all about. I think this is kind of an encapsulation of all of the functions, really. Well, not all, there are still more things it can do, but of the kind of primary what this is all about. Yeah, so it's quite fun, isn't it? Now if I hit the right button again, what we'll see is it's like an 8-step sequence, but for each step there are actually 4 sub-steps as well. So it allows for that much granulation. So, I mean, yeah, Steve Elbo's a very good point. Yeah. Oh, Pittsburgh are starting their live session soon. Okay, I'll definitely head off when that happens. Thank you for letting me know, Bruno. Hey, Tom. Synth Anatomy Tom is in the room, so that's always a pleasure. Thank you for joining. It does sound a bit granular. You can do sort of granular, if you're clever with it, you can sort of like move stuff around. Of course, we haven't looked at the freeze function either. So when I touched freeze, it was the sequence, it was the preset that was playing when I touched it, which I think is this one here. So every time that preset plays, freeze is switched on within it. If I wanted to rectify that, I could just kind of come out of play, and then go to the preset where freeze is. I don't know quite what happened then. It does do some quite strange things, I've got to be honest. Okay. I'm not quite sure why that's doing that now. Let's have a look. Maybe it's just how much feedback there is. Oh yeah. Here's something. I'll just pause this. This is quite cool because there's no display on here. You really are relying on the LEDs, but there's well, what have we got? We got 10, 12. There's plenty of LEDs on here. There's 12 of the big ones and lots of the little ones. And when you hold down shift functions, you can see how things change. So there's lots of things that we deal with which you have to learn its own uniqueness, but it seems fairly logical on this, I gotta be honest. So oh yeah, so that little sequence that we had on the run, that's sequence A, and we can have 4 of these different sequences. So if I go to B, it's like back to just sort of like the bypass there. Back to the other pattern. Okay, let's I like that one. Let's just for fun bring in some other instruments. Oh, get some of this, get this going through it as well. Okay, so yeah, pretty cool. I think it's I was I was enjoying that. I think it's a really clever little box. I'm going to probably sign off soon if the Pittsburgh guys are going to be starting up, because I wouldn't want them to get in the way of them. But thanks so much for joining me for this midnight session. Yeah, so the Bastl Thyme, what can I say about it? I think it's available now, or certainly in shops, I guess. I think it's around, what is it, €4.99? It's something like that. But it's it's a pretty fascinating tool. Yeah, thanks everyone. I might do another little jam if you want to stick around for that. Actually, I said I was going to take questions, and now if you got any questions, now would be the time. Or if there's anything that you'd like me to try and do, I can feed a bunch of different things into it. So what's that? 3.5 at elevator. Thank you, Rick. Rick Dawson, DJ Rick Dawson. In fact, 535. I know I didn't pay for this, so when I get sent something, it's really nice that they've sent this over for me to play around with. But I do buy a lot of gear as well. I'm just trying to run it through my mind about the money, the value. I think it is I think it's worth it. Some things I haven't talked about is the build quality, and let me just tell you a little bit about that. Oh, Matt Brown, can we hear the slowest delay grit, please? Yes. Yeah, I'll do that in a moment. It's metal. They're proper jack sockets, the way that they're all like screwed on proper jack sockets. The knobs are also metal and feel they're maybe the most solid. They're very similar. I think they're the same as the ones on the modules. And the modules are also using the green. Now, I know a lot of you don't like black and green, the IRA nightmare. But this, I think, is, if I had a criticism of it, it's a very minor one. But when you have it flat on a desktop, and if it's a little bit away from you, then the LEDs are quite, you don't see them so clearly because the on an angle the pots kind of obscure them. I'd have liked to have seen this ring maybe just down a whole one side, like it's about, I'm not sure, it's not quite half a turn the size of the LED. If that was rotated round, I think it would still do the same trick, but you would be able to see it from a lower angle. You still can see it from a lower angle. It's not that it's completely obscured, but because they convey such a lot of the information about the robots, then being able to see them clearly definitely helps. Since I've had it on this angle here, which I set up for filming reasons, I've actually enjoyed it much more. Asef Stripe saying it kind of looked like Strymon knobs. Yes, although the only Strymon I've got here is a Volante, and that's got kind of the Mogi kind of vintage knobs. But yeah, but the buttons all feel really good. This thing is built well. It's built really well. So I think it certainly doesn't feel like a budget instrument. Matt Brown suggesting playing it upside down, but yeah, when I'm saying that, it's only a slight thing. It's tiny, so it's, you know, make of that what you will, but it really is just a small thing. But when I was mentioning it briefly on Sonic State, there is something I'm going to do, and this is going to tie into with what Matt had asked for, is that the tape speed amount, when you slow that down, you know, by default, it doesn't have the filtering on it. So let's get something up so we can hear that. Yep, sequence running. Oh yeah. Come on. Play for me. Stop that playing. I'm going to change the bank because I filled up those presets, so I'll do a fresh one. I'm going to go shift. I'm in bank 2 now, so 64 presets I think is great for something like this. Okay, so we're back here again. So let's get, I'll just use my snares for a moment. Okay, let's get this. Yeah, that little woggle, I think I still haven't quite mastered how much you need to do for it to bring it alive. Okay, so I'm going to slow this. Let's go fully wet with it. Let's get a bit more brightness in the snare. So this is around 12 o'clock. Oh yeah, there is a shortcut. How do you do it again? Oh yeah, I think it's the shift. And you can make it jump in octaves. It's going slower now. And like listen to the... So that's the slowest. But if we, I think it holds shift and change the, yeah, hold shift and give the tape speed a little wiggle, and then it puts a filter onto it. But it's kind of makes some, they kind of want you to explore this digital tape machine. It's not trying to be a tape emulation. I mean, you could simulate wow and flutter kind of effects using the robots modulating the fine. So freeze this. Ah, yeah, because there was no presets lit. The first time I touched one, it essentially made what this is into a preset. So if I hit this one, oh no, I'm in the right mode. That's why. Ignore what I just said. I think that might have actually been rubbish. So of course we could modulate this with a random. Oh yeah, this is kind of cool. Look. So let's set that one to be in the random one. We're losing the sound. Broken it. I'm going to do this again. Hang on. So if I modulate, if I get this tape speed then modulated, and I'm going to set that to be this random. Sorry. Turn the amount up. Oof. Let's get some feedback on again. Here we go. Now, if I hold the robot control down and change the rate, when I apply that, it'll essentially add smoothing in. It'll make the changes smoother. So we'll take that off. Let's see. It's going to jump around more smoother. So that's quite fun. Let's just see what happens if we make that a stereo thing. There we go. So you can hear that stereo. So the left channel and the right channel, they're like two tape machines, and when the one is randomly going that fast, the other one is going in the opposite direction in the left and right channels. If you can understand that. It's cool. Let's get this one moving. So it really does go much further into kind of synth land, really, than pretty much any other delay that I know. Maybe its only rival in some ways is the delay mode on Electron's Octatrack. That's just because you can set the Octatrack up just to be like the monster of all delay units. So I can copy that pattern. I can copy that, and then I can then paste it. So same patch on two. I think this going between different presets and it really being quite smooth sounding. I've not been hearing nasty digital clicks. You know, I mean, sometimes when you maybe chop a gate slightly, I'm sure you can make a few, but in the most, it's remarkable how smooth those transitions are. Now there are a bunch of other things in this that I am going to finish pretty soon. Now I'll do us a jam to play out on, but you can track volt per octave on so the CV could change the delay time, and if you fiddle with it, you can play in tune, and it will track I don't know how many octaves. But yeah, so Digital Dabble, lovely name. Equally guys, electro pops with digital transitions. Yeah, so oh, Matt Brown is saying it reminds you a bit of IntelliGel's Rainmaker with the smooth transitions. Okay, I haven't really played. Steve's got a Rainmaker, but I haven't really played around with it much. Yeah, Horse Valse. Yeah, nice for atmospheric techno background textures with massive ping pong delay. Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks everyone. I am going to now just dive into one more jam. How long we've been streaming? Okay, maybe thinking about an hour and a half maximum. So that gives me another 12 minutes. But yeah, curious to see what you think about this time frame. I know it's going to be late for British and European people, but maybe more suitable for Americans. Okay, so have I missed any questions? I'm so sorry. Let's just have a little look if I've missed anything. But yeah, if you do have any questions, please ask now. And again, thank you so much for joining me. It's been lots of fun having you to be with me as I'm having a play around with this. Yeah, so I mentioned Bastl sent me this. You know, I've been a music tech sort of journalisty sort of type, or not really a journalist. Wow, okay, Mikko's in Australia, so any time is kind of odd for you, I guess. But okay, that's good to know. But hello over there, so far away. Okay, Matt, we can cope in the UK. All right, I guess it's about not going on too late. But yeah. It might be easier for me to do more regular streams if I do them at midnight, just because of life. So I'm just trying it out. General consensus to the chatties: do you like this time? And if you have got any questions now, please ask. But yeah, generally, do you like it? Is it something? Oh, I didn't talk about clocking. I am clocking it from. Well, I mentioned I was clocking it from the PAMs, but there is a MIDI in as well. So you can synchronize it that way. There's no USB on it, and there is also a CV in, which I haven't actually used yet, but I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be great. The time is right. Yeah. So yeah, okay, cool. So generally quite positive vibes about it. People like it. Steve Elbows, I like it. Okay, that's cool. Do you know what? I like it more and more the more I'm getting used to it. I've got a few, some of the sequencer is like a fixed 32 step sequence, and I'm not sure why it has to be so fixed. And also I say it's 32 step, it's like kind of 8 steps with 4 sub steps. So I guess however you're kind of using your clocking will dictate. I mean, I've got a clock coming from PAMS, so I could send a different clock in and I guess get longer sequences. I'll have to play around with that. I haven't really done too much with that yet, but I've only just tonight now, just before streaming, is the first time I tried it with this modular rig. I think it would be amazing as a module, but it would be really big. I could imagine like the Rainmaker by IntelliGel. That's a very big module. I would imagine it would be something like that. I think it's about the right height. Obviously, it's all 1/4 inch jacks, and I can't stress enough though just what a solidly built, proper, good, sort of surprising this day and age, really, to have something that's got this such good, strong metal form factor, I suppose. Well, maybe not so much in pedals, but desktop stuff tends to be much more plasticky. So yeah, well done Bastl for that. Freeze, I didn't really do much with freeze, but the freeze functionality, everything I think is CCable as well. So the MIDI in, no MIDI out, just MIDI in. But I think you can control everything over CCs too, which is also good. Although when I was connecting it from my Roland 505, my looper, every time I connected it with the MIDI in, it would just engage the bypass, and I understand what it was doing. It was playing. Ignore me. I understand it. It was working all along. So when you're in play, when you go into play mode, unless you sequenced anything, the bypass is lit. So when I was running my my looper, and having a looper running, it was going into play mode, and I had nothing recorded. So I was thinking I was always stuck in bypass mode. Duh. Okay. So it's not that I'm stupid. Well, I am a bit stupid, but there are a few gotchas with the time, just a few. So, but as with all of those, you spend a bit of time with something and you learn the foibles and the quirks, and that actually often becomes some of the strengths as well. Okay, so I'm going to jam out now. Matt Brown saying, looks similar to the Make Noise O boxes. Yeah, like the Zero Coast. I think it's, yeah, maybe is the same. I've got a module. Like, no, I don't want to move it. I've got one. Yes. No. I'm not sure. I should have done a bit more research on that one. Okay, let's have a jam then. Thanks again, everybody. Oh, I maybe worth a mention in case some of you didn't see, the Tim Exile GoFundMe went live. It's done extremely well, which is so gratifying. So Tim Exile, one of our beloved music tech innovators, struck down by the dreaded cancer 3 months after his 2 twins were born, and sadly has led to Endless being, or going bankrupt, really. I mean, it's one of the saddest stories, I think, in the music tech world at the moment. But hopefully Tim's going to be okay. He has had successful operations now, but it's going to take a long time to recover. So this GoFundMe has been, they were aimed for 40,000, which would allow them to live, for a good, 3 years or so, paying a mortgage and whatnot, whilst he gets better and the children are looked after, because obviously baby twins. Tim's wife has been, is essentially full-time mum. Tough times, but really lovely to see, though, that once they actually reach their 40,000, any money that's come in after is going to the team who worked for free to try and keep Endless. And I think that's a really lovely gesture from Tim, especially as he's obviously, I don't know, that's blown my mind, that has that kind of, generosity and team thinking, really, because Endless was always about the collaboration. I hope there can be a way back for Endless somehow. I feel guilty that I wasn't using it enough, and I really did like it a lot. I just I guess it's a habit forming thing. It was a habit that I didn't form. But we mentioned on Sonic Talk about it today, and I do think it has actually been, the response from the community has been brilliant, and it is really gratifying to see that Tim's endeavors, or rather his contributions are so keenly felt, and that people really care about him. Yeah, I've done a few videos with him over the years. My favorite, though, I think, was when we hiked up to the Griffith Observatory. I think it's called LA Stories on my channel, and it was just before the lockdown, a couple of months before the first lockdown in 2020. But yeah, we hiked to the Griffith Observatory. Now that's the famous observatory that overlooks LA, and it's just an incredible experience. If you ever get the chance, if you haven't already, strongly recommend it. But the time to walk up there, and then when we walked back down again, we filmed parts of the conversation, of which I've put that up onto my Facebook, onto my YouTube channel. But that was really great because we had some real quality time to talk about the kind of, the kind of underlying philosophies that essentially Endless was based and built upon. So yes, big love, brother. What a wonderful man. So yeah, and thank you if anyone has actually contributed to that too. I think it's, very worthwhile. But yeah, okay, and yeah. But we've got a great community. I feel so proud to be part of it. It was very apparent in Super Booth, and it grows every year. The community, people getting to know each other more and more, and it's the most wonderful community I've ever been involved with. I think of all of the music kind of subgenres and different things that I've been involved in over the years, the music tech community is just, is the most wonderful. I think there's a lot of reasons for that. I think there's a certain intelligence threshold that you need. I'm not saying you need to be super bright, because I'm definitely not, but there is an intelligence threshold that you need to be above for this stuff to make any kind of sense at all, or to have an interest in this stuff. So I think that at least means that, and most of us are quirky in our own way, or on the spectrum in some ways, or have some kinship and some, and I guess having such a powerful central kind of hobby passion gives us a real focus point of which everything else kind of fits around. Yeah. How many computers did I delete this morning? Okay. Yeah, it was a bit naughty, that was. I just sort of tried to delete everyone's everyone using Siri's computer. I was on a Sonic Talk. Okay, right. Let me get back. I was just drifting off there, but yeah, big love to Tim, and yeah, but yeah, what a great community we have. Okay, let me. I'll tell you what I'll do then. I'll just talk through this a little bit because I'll build a patch really from the modular a bit first, and then introduce this. So I'll get some hi-hats on the go. So I'm using grids, which I've got just out of sight. Back under here is the chaos control. So the more I increase the chaos control, you can hear there as I'm increasing it. I'm just going to back it off here a little bit, but it's putting more like little fills in and stuff, or just instability to the pattern. There we go. When it's going into double time, it's endlessly fascinating. Well, pardon the endless reference there, but yeah, it grids. You can always find cool things on it. Yeah, nice one, Nick. Okay, so then we can bring a kick in now. Let's just bring in something simple. That hi-hat's going a bit potty. Let's bring in some of that pitch snare. I might take the... Oh no, actually, that's fine, isn't it? Yeah, the pitch is still changing the part of the... So these drums that we're listening to, the 3 drum voices, they're all analog voices. 2 HP ones. Take the pitch out for a minute, then the snare. Add a few more kicks. And now this is one of my favourite modular tricks really, is bringing in the QD drum. These 4 drums now that are, I'll just take them out of that, take that effect off them, make them dry. So I've got some LFO action going on, panning things around a little bit to get some stereo. Now, okay, I'll try the kick now actually into the time and see what we can get going on with the kick. Okay, drop them back a little bit. Let's sync it. Okay, so not exactly talking my way through this at the moment, I'm just getting some stuff on the go with it. Let's get a click on its own through here. Okay. Yeah. Come on. Yeah, I'm just getting there. Quite mad, isn't it? That's all just off the kick, that is. Hello, David Paul. Let's get that going stereo now. Bypass it. So that all that kind of animation and movement that you can get going on with it is kind of cool, isn't it? Of course, I've got all my presets that I made earlier. If I go back to that bank, that'd be fun. See what it does. Doesn't seem like... I think changing banks, you would have to save the bank before you changed it, of course. Okay, so I lost all my presets because I changed the bank. And my new ones are in the other bank, so I lost them as well. Okay, so that's a gotcha, you know, that, as Nick Bat would say, a gotcha, you know, just things you have to kind of be aware of. Thanks, everybody. Thanks so great. Hey, thank you. Okay, thanks everybody. See you soon. Take care. Lots of love. Bye bye.